So we are now recording September 1st, 2017, Small Business Accounting Advisors. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Christy's with us. Hasn't been with us for a while. Good to see you.
Good to see you guys.
Elizabeth is with us, but no Mike or no Cam. But we may be, if she has comments, we'll be mentioning that for her.
Yeah.
Kyla is brand new. Hi, Kyla.
Hi.
You want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm a pro advisor for QuickBooks, and I basically have a practice that I built the name for the purpose of showing my daughters that you could be strong and run your own business and not always have to work for someone else. And they both do that somewhat. So that's really exciting to me. And I use QuickBooks Online mostly with integrated apps, and I have a couple certifications that way. And I basically am just doing basic bookkeeping for people. I'm not a CPA. I'm just a pro advisor.
Well, that sounds awesome, actually. And I love the reason you started your business.
Yes, that's wonderful.
Well, you were telling us a little bit about your new job that you started working with a CPA firm. Do you want to tell us?
Right. I actually am just contracting to cover a short time period for them. They have their pro advisor left, and they were trying to figure out a way to cover all their accounts with the deadline for the extensions and one of the members having a new baby and some different things going on in the office. And so I had worked with a CPA with a client for 4 years, and so he knew that I knew my way around QuickBooks. At that time, I was working on a desktop version of QuickBooks, and you just think everybody comes up where you do. And when I came in, I realized that it's very old school, and they actually have an account where they're reconciling a bank with 1,200 transactions in it on a spreadsheet versus QuickBooks. And I was like, wow, I don't even know if I want to do this. They don't even get the bank statement from the client. I said, well, I need the bank statement. But
What are they doing if they're not reconciling the bank statement?
well, they are, I think what she's doing is getting a download from the company in a CSV version.
Uh-huh.
And so that's her statement, but that doesn't tell you how many checks went through. It doesn't tell you the amount of the checks. It doesn't tell you. To me, it's just not acceptable.
Well, and it wouldn't tell you which ones didn't go through.
Right. You need the bank statement for that. I agree with you. Good for you for sticking to your guns.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what they're using the client, because I'm working through the CPA firm, so I'm going to work on the past pro advisor's computer. And I don't know what they're using to print the checks, but evidently not QuickBooks. So it's a very large company. If they're printing, say if they're printing 1,000 checks, they must be using some software that they're just shooting these reports out to them. And what I'm thinking is they're paying several claims, and so the check comes through, there might be one check number and 5 checks, and it totals up to what's on the bank.
Oh, that's even harder.
Oh, I know. So that's what I was wondering.
What to do with that.
Now, speaking of that, though, I have come up with a very interesting solution with one of my clients, the Holistic Chamber of Commerce, because they write ACHs to pay a number of their vendors.
Right.
And I want to be able to 1099 those vendors at the end of the year. But the way those vendor payments clear their bank statement is any ACH payments made on a day get all lump summed together coming out of the bank account. So what I have done is I have the main bank account, and I have a lot of sub bank accounts that are 91, their account is -9102 Comerica checking, okay? And I have
Okay.
-9102 ACH, -9102 pay somebody with a business direct deposit, so that's 9102 BDD. That I have 9102 P isn't personal DD when they're paying somebody, because you have to have different templates for all these. And so I write all the checks out of those to the individuals, and then at the bottom I show a transfer in to cover the amount of those checks from the checking account. And
So are you doing this on QBO, Linda, or QBD?
I'm using QuickBooks Desktop.
Okay.
But I think you could do it with either one, from what I know. But that way I can 1099 everybody. I've got a separate check for every vendor. Yet what shows in the bank account is the lump sum, which is the way it shows in the bank account.
But you're talking, Kyla, hand entering 1,200 transactions a month in Excel.
Well, they're sending her a CSV file, so she's putting it into her
Excel.
Excel spreadsheet. She has like templates set up in there, but to me, and she's doing a hunt and find.
Ugh.
She's using the find option, which is really nice, but I really, somebody that was a little more proficient with Excel could probably do it. I can't believe that they can't compare like one column to the other column to see what cleared and what didn't.
Yeah, well, you can also highlight and sort. You can sort.
You have to bring them in that way to sort them.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'd have to look at it. That sounds like the kind of thing I love to do if they pay me enough money to do it.
Right. Well, and they're paying me by the hour, so it doesn't matter how long it takes me to do it. It's just that I'm not a person that likes to, I like to be challenged to learn a new process, but to set and just do data entry or manually do things is not
Feels
really
like
where
a back step. Yeah, it feels like stepping
horrible.
You may
Yeah.
do it one day, and that may be it.
back. So they do bring in a CSV file.
Mm-hmm.
So would they be opposed? Do they have QBO in the office at all?
I don't really think so, and that's what, I don't know if I want to try a new process, because if it fails, it could take me longer, but
Right.
this is, okay, so I get my base rate per hour, but I was honestly, and it's really nice that you guys are here to bounce this off of. If you've used Transaction Pro,
Yes.
the importer, you could bring the checks in, so the checks would be in the register, and then if you manually put a CSV file in with the file that they gave you, it would tell if they matched or not, and it would leave all the ones that didn't clear the bank open, right?
Right.
It's another
And I-
idea.
But
I
you're
really
right.
think
I mean, the learning curve on that may be longer than you're there. If you're only going to be there a couple months,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, and that's what I need to find out, but I think it
Well,
will kill me to start my week off and have to spend 6 or 8 hours trying to reconcile.
another way of looking at that is if you invest the time to become proficient at it, you could take that skill and become a consultant on these other backward companies and improve the process.
That's
So
true.
I would think of it as an investment of your time that's going to have a return on equity after a certain point,
Well, that's what, and the other thing I'm trying to be pretty cautious about, it isn't that I won't help people, because that's the first thing I would do. I would show them a better way to do that. But do I want to just give that skill to someone else?
right.
You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
right. Or do
there's
it yourself. Well, talk to your CPA. You have a relationship with him. You've worked with other clients, so they know your work. They know what you're capable of. And ask him what his thoughts are.
Well, it's the traditional old school CPA that he doesn't even open QuickBooks.
Oh my gosh.
Is he ready? How close is he to retiring?
Yeah, I looked at that too because he has a son in there he's having a baby this week, and so that's one reason, but he's been there 3 years, and the few conversations I had with him, I was very aware that he knows how to perform the tasks needed to take care of the few clients he has, but he doesn't have a knowledge of QuickBooks or the accounting background. So I was like, wow.
And the son is going to be taking over the company, you think, at some point?
Well, I would think so, but I don't know.
Sort of sounds like he's kind of flushing the value of his company down the toilet. I mean, if he's not going to, you know.
Otherwise, he'll be out of business. So,
well, the father, yes. The son, no. The son can maybe waiting until he has the, you know.
I would hope so.
Well, for a long time, CPAs have just done taxes, and they know the accounting world, so they can tell you how to make a journal entry or how to adjust something in QuickBooks so that it comes to them correctly.
yes.
But they don't. I've met with 2 CPAs lately that they said, yeah, I realize that I'm going to have to expand my business and work with QuickBooks clients. I'm just like, wow, I think you're 10 years late on that, you know?
We didn't get to introduce ourselves a little bit. Dennis is a CPA and does work with QuickBooks. Although you're kind of a little different. You've kind of backed down on the QuickBooks, Dennis, right?
Yeah, I'm an advanced pro advisor on the desktop, which I rarely use anymore. And I use Xero for my own accounting. I'm so involved with taxes, primarily tax preparation, tax planning, and tax representation, that QuickBooks is kind of getting crowded out. And so I just tend to refer, if there's a big bookkeeping problem, I don't touch it. I have some resources I use locally that I give it to them, and they give me tax clients.
Okay, sorry.
Well, and I work that way with a lot of CPAs, and I think that's why it shocks me so much when I get somewhere and they're all paper and they haven't even entertained the thought of anything else.
So could you go into that firm as a more permanent, or would you want to position and say, hey, I'll take these kind of clients off of your table and I'll take care of them, and then you're free to do and use whatever program you want. All they care about is the financials in the end.
Or be a consultant to train people and get them up to speed. I mean, I'm not sure what the market demand or how many old school CPAs are around. I know in my area that I belong to a tax roundtable, and I'd say I'm probably the most knowledgeable about QuickBooks, but there are some that are using QuickBooks Online. A few of them just are so focused on tax they don't really care about QuickBooks.
Right, and that's what's happened here is he doesn't care about QuickBooks, and his enrolled agent, he wanted me to come in and learn taxes and go that route, and that's not, I enjoy QuickBooks and doing the bookkeeping, and I always want my books to line up with how the tax accounting software works for the tax returns, but I don't really have a desire to do taxes, and I think he was disappointed, and I was like, well, you know.
Right. You have enough enough to keep you busy with what you're doing, and it sounds like his practice has a big hole there that you may be able to fill, but whether or not he's open to that.
Right.
Well, and that's what I don't believe he is. And the girl that left said to me, you know, she trained me a little bit, and she said to me, you know, he just never wanted to pay for my training, never wanted me to go to a conference, never wanted me to learn new things. And, you know, like when I looked through her books, I realized she wasn't even importing credit card transactions, that she was still doing it the old way of putting a bill in and breaking out the transactions by the expense account.
How old is this guy?
Pardon me?
How old is this guy?
He's probably in his 50s, I would guess.
That's
Wow.
young.
He's young, yeah.
He's young
Yeah. I'm
for being old.
surprised.
He's awfully young for being old.
Well, it was awful hard to work with his son, who I would guess is between 25 and 30, and he doesn't have any technology skills as far as QuickBooks Online or anything like that.
They need to find. They're going to have to find another profession pretty soon.
Yeah, I think so. See, and that's how I feel too. When I went to an accountant to help her straighten out the balance sheet for a client that she had never created. And she looked at me and she said, you know, these landscapers, they come and go. And she goes, I just didn't really think he'd really stay in business. Well, he's like into 6 or 7 years and he became an S Corp. And I asked her for the balances coming forward, and she didn't have them. And I walked into a conference room, and she filled the table with papers and sorted through them the whole time I was there for 4 hours, and I still didn't walk out with balances. And I was like, didn't you do his taxes? You know?
Really? But I can totally understand that, because landscapers are the kind of people that use a lot of the QuickBooks, either online or desktop, and don't really have the knowledge to do it. And all they care about is the profit and loss, and they don't care about the balance sheet, nor do they understand it, and nor do they want to.
Right.
Right. Well, and this guy is pretty sharp. He's a little different. And he actually knows, and he'll get me the information. She just, she didn't know any of the names for equipment, and it was just beyond her. You know, and she really didn't care, and she kept saying, well, you've got double of this and double of that. And when I went through it, I was like, no, the client and I have gone through this step by step, and this is how it is.
Right.
And she still had me come in with the QuickBooks. She goes, I can't believe you can get around QuickBooks like that. And I was just like, she goes, I would hire you. If you named your price, I would hire you to work in my office. I was like, yeah, I don't think so.
Well, it sounds like you have an opening, that there's a big hole, but people may not really be up for it, except for this girl that didn't have a clue.
Right. Well, and that's good. I think there's an opening for that. And this is a nice CPA firm. He's been in business for a long time. I have a lot of respect for him. I would have never, ever realized that they were still doing things that way.
Well, yeah, if it's only for a couple months, yeah, you really need to find out how long you're going to be doing it. For only a couple months, you might have to bite the bullet and do the hand entry. If it's longer than that, then I would ask them, we can do this a better way. I can show you a better way, and, but they have to be open to that.
Well, and I think too, the information that they don't have is they just hired a person that can do taxes, that is a CPA, that I don't know if she was out of the workforce or whatever, and she just came back. And she has some QuickBooks knowledge. Well, and the son doesn't have any QuickBooks. He doesn't have any skill. So for him to be able to take on these clients after I do it for a couple months, he's still not going to be able to. He's still not going to have that skill.
Right.
And they don't have that piece of the puzzle. They don't know that. So even if I ask them, do you want me to stay on to do this account through the end of the year or something, they're not going to realize that they're going to need that. And they're welcome to take it on themselves, but it's a really large project.
Wow. Well, you'll just have to say, look, I'm here for a couple months. I'll do what you want, but any longer than that, I would want to do it my own way.
Well, I even think about, if you get QuickBooks and you could get it at a reduced cost and the Transaction Pro, would he pay for the value of the work being done? I would do it. It would go so much faster and so much easier for me.
It wouldn't even be a quarter of the time.
Exactly.
It would be like an hour versus 7.
Exactly. See, that's what I thought too, and that's why I wanted to ask you guys, like, because if you're looking at what QuickBooks just went up to, what, 27? Is that what they're going up to, or 25 for our pricing?
Kyla, do you have the 5 for 5?
I do, but I don't have any open. If I had an open client, I would throw them in there in a heartbeat.
Well, I just FYI, I just bought a 5 for 5. So I
You
have
can still buy them.
Yeah, I thought that you couldn't either, but you can.
Yeah.
I've actually seen it in my
called me and they talked me into it about the 2nd or 3rd week in August. I was shocked too, but I bought 5. So, and it's going to be charged on my account for the first time after 30 days. I don't have leads right now to put anybody in. So I'll pay for it for probably 3 or 4 months. And if I don't have people in there by then, I'll,
And it only takes one client to make it worthwhile at that price.
yeah.
Right.
So,
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you did that and you did the transaction importer pro, you would have the checks in there. Or, I mean, I think I can I'm pretty sure I can make it work where I would have a tracking every month.
You know what? Maybe that might be the solution. If you could get a 30-day trial, then that would give you the leeway to say, here's what you were doing, here's what I'm doing now, and then tell him, he's got to absorb some of the cost, because he's going to have a big difference between paying you an hour, if you're being paid by the hour, and being paid and charging 6 or 7 hours for the job. So,
And he's a funny individual. He was trying so hard not to admit that it's going to be a big hole she's going to leave when she walks out the door. He was having and he's like, most all of my clients had, they owed me money yet for taxes and stuff. So the money for the work that she did, it's just now coming in. What she doesn't realize is she's actually going to pay for her transition. I was like, oh no.
And he could use updating his pricing system, by the way, too. Oh my goodness.
I know, it was interesting to me to hear things like that.
And that's way too much. I don't know if I'd want to know that.
I would he was trying to say, I'm not really being hurt by her leaving, which, I was just like, you have no idea how bad you're being hurt by her leaving. And
Right.
I was just like, but no, I just wanted to bounce that off you. So if we can jump topics now, I appreciate so much, just having someone to say, hey, would that work? Would you take that chance and try it? Because you could export everything out and put it in his spreadsheet.
It depends on whether he is open to that or not. It entirely depends on his attitude. And it may be that you have to show him that you can do it that way before he would even believe it, which would then put the, extra burden expenses on you, and you'd have to be willing to absorb that. To get
you want to have your integrity and you don't want to cheat anyone, but if he planned on that taking me 6 to 8 hours to do it, and especially the first time doing it, and I did it in a couple hours, wouldn't that, what would I do at that point? I wouldn't want to do that.
Right.
Well, you do value billing, right?
No, nobody does value billing.
Client, it's a project work, so it's just by the hour.
Yeah, it all depends. I now have switched over to project pricing, which I suppose would be more like a flat rate. I just contracted with a client earlier this week to get him set up in QuickBooks 2015 and to guarantee that he would finish entering all of the data for 2016, either by downloading or by entering it, by Monday, September 11th for $1,500.
Okay.
How long it took, and he's supposed to do most of the work. We got 4 months done on Tuesday, which is pretty good. And it turns out we couldn't download. He's with US Bank. US Bank, when you sign up with them, you can download from that day forward, but you can't go back at all.
But you have the statements. If you take those statements, I don't know if you're doing this at all, but I actually have a method to take a statement, a digital copy of a statement, and depending on the type of statement it is, some of the statements I can convert right to an Excel file with my Adobe software, and then I just flip it into a CSV. And I found a couple of the statements that don't convert well that I actually copy and paste, and I've learned how to take, when you paste it, it all goes into one column, and I know how to switch it from one column to the actual individual columns now.
Right.
And
Yeah,
it takes a few minutes, but it's not as tedious as entering transaction after transaction.
When there's 1,200 of them, absolutely.
20 years, his statements are only about 3 pages long, so there's not a lot of transactions. Maybe 50 transactions per statement, if that. And I have a way of naming payee names so that when I use that name, it automatically goes to the right account. Okay? And so you can usually enter a transaction in about 2 or 3 seconds. So
tell me again what you just said. Are you working on desktop or QuickBooks Online?
I'm working on desktop.
And you tell me how you're naming transactions. I'm curious.
In such a way that each payee goes to a different account. Okay? Okay, I have a name on the other names list, restaurant. I have a name on the other names list called hotel. I have a name called out of town meal. So you don't put in the restaurant name, or you don't put in the hotel's name. You just put in restaurant, RES. It automatically goes to meals and entertainment. I also have out of town meal, which automatically goes to travel and lodging, and then you memo the restaurant. I'll tell you, I think it's ingenious, but and my clients like it too. But the other thing that I'm doing is I'm teaching them how to do it month after month after month. I don't want to teach them how to turn it into a CSV file and how to copy and paste it and that kind of stuff, because then they're not learning. I want them to learn what they're doing and how they're tracking it and how they're getting in the right category, and how the IRS has set it up so that if you're out of town on travel, you can take off the cost of a meal. But if you're in town, and you're not allowed to write off personal meals where you go to McDonald's and just buy yourself something to eat. You're supposed to have a distributor or a client or someone that you're pitching for that. And I usually just name that restaurant, and then I go at meals and entertainment, and I go in parentheses 50%. So they're starting to learn what's going on. So
well, that's really cool.
So, and I do that with, like, if I have clients that have rentals or something, and they're paying all these Southern California Edison bills, the Southern California Edison bills will be utilities, but if they have different rental properties they're paying on, I have the name of that rental property or the street address as part of the list name. So it automatically puts it in with the right class and everything. So it's just kind of like, it takes a little more time setting up, but once you've set it up, you can fly through entering those transactions. And I think in general, from what I've seen, it's usually faster than QuickBooks Online, although sometimes if you don't have that kind of a complicated thing where you have 10 different places that the Edison bill goes, then you're better off just downloading it. If it always goes to the same place, there's no point. So.
Well, and that's what, like, each scenario, it's like unique and different, and that's what I'm finding out too. That you have to kind of weigh it out, and sometimes it's a trial and error, and I like to be really consistent and have my things consistently done the same, but I'm finding I have to use different options for different situations.
Got it. Very good.
Hey, Sandy, you're muted. Let me unmute you. Okay.
To my phone, I'm at a, I have a shared office that I share with an attorney, like for whenever I want it. And I don't have a phone charger with me and my phone's gonna die, but do you guys meet every week?
Yes, we do.
And what time do you meet? At 2 o'clock your time?
Where are you?
I'm in Michigan.
So whatever time it is, it's 2:30 to 3:30 on the West Coast. It's 5:30
Okay.
to 6:30 on the East Coast. And are you
You're
central?
somewhere in between.
Oh, I'm on the East Coast time.
Okay.
Oh, okay. There, that's
I
it.
have 5:59 right now on my phone.
Okay. So 5:30, come back next week. Come see us again.
Yeah, and
Okay,
it'll be
so-
5:30 where I'm at.
That's right.
All right, I'll tell you what I did with that client when I get back next week. But
Awesome.
thank you for letting me join.
Oh, absolutely. Happy to have you.
You guys are really awesome. Thank you.
Great. We're glad to have you.
Good luck.
All right, thanks. We'll talk to you again.
Bye
All
bye.
righty. Bye, Kyla.
Bye.
Sandy, we haven't seen you for a while. What's happening?
Oh, just work and wedding
Work and weddings.
wedding stuff, yeah. So
When is the
That's all
wedding
it
again?
October 22nd.
Oh, it's soon.
Yes.
Yep, it's consuming all my free time.
I can imagine it would be. Yep.
But you're working, you have jobs, how is business for you now?
Still the same. I just have one client. Actually, I took on a contract position for worker compensation audit.
Okay.
So I'm starting on that, and I'm just doing that part-time right now, but it's good, slowly.
Awesome.
And I'm just taking a tax class just to prepare myself for the coming up season.
In addition to preparing yourself for your wedding.
Yes, it's everything, but I'd rather be busy than not be busy.
Well, you have your wish then. So what else do we want to talk about? Dennis, do you want to talk about Wunderlist?
Yeah, just a second. I need to.
You've
Okay.
been using Wunderlist for a while, am I correct?
For probably about 3 weeks now, 2 or 3
Wow,
weeks.
I thought you've been using it for like a year or longer.
No, I've had it, but I haven't really used it.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
But I found how to use the inbox for on the Momentum site, because I can switch back and forth between clients and inbox. And so what I'm doing now with the inbox is that things, if I need to call somebody or send somebody an email, I just dump it in there, and then things that are quick to do, and then I put my other clients, the things that are like tax returns in the client section. So, but the thing is that every time you open up a new tab, it shows up on your computer, the Momentum screen.
So what is Momentum exactly? Momentum I didn't get to. Wunderlist I am loving. I don't know. I mean, I've been using it for a couple days, and I don't know how I ever lived without it, quite frankly.
What's Wunderlist? What does it do?
Wunderlist is a simple to-do list. And I didn't realize how much I needed that. I did at certain points have a whiteboard where I put projects up underneath things, and that's so manual, and so
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. I've gotten
Go ahead.
one section that doesn't have clients' names in it, so I'll just share that.
Okay.
Let's see.
So yeah, I'm loving Wunderlist.
Okay, do you see it now?
Wait a minute, it's coming.
It says Dennis Thompson is, there we go. Good afternoon, Dennis.
So
All right.
you have,
See the say good afternoon, Dennis.
yep.
Okay.
Yes, 75%.
Yeah, so the day is 75% over with. So what I've got it broken out into different sections right now. Like I've got
Oh, on the right-hand side where my,
Yeah, I've got like,
Is that Wunderlist there?
yeah, it's embedded in Momentum
so you use Wunderlist and Momentum
together.
consecutively.
Yeah, they're linked. So like here, I've got education. So things like
So that's your Wunderlist of things to do?
under education,
Okay.
and then like on work, things that are more aspirational. They've been there for probably a couple of years.
Things that
And
you
then-
want to work on educational advice.
Yeah, but if I want to see the clients, I just click on the clients, and it tells me which clients and I can prioritize it to put the top of the list on here. Like here, it's got like Excel consulting,
All right.
and then you can put links out here, and so you can have Evernote, Dropbox, Smartsheet, Google Calendar.
So your links are where? Do I need to move my boxes again? Oh, okay, they're on the left. I keep
Yeah.
moving our boxes so that they're not in the way of all of
Yeah,
them.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're on
and,
those boxes. We can see them.
and then it's got the temperature up here, and then it's got the phrase of the day or the saying of the day.
Okay.
And then here they've got the settings. I got the pro version of it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you pay for it.
Yeah, and so it gives you some extra functionality, like you can integrate with add integrations. You can integrate with Google Tasks, Trello, Asana.
See, I always thought Trello was enough for me, but apparently not. And it's a shame that it doesn't work with Wunderlist as opposed to Google Tasks, because I used to try to do the to-dos in Google,
Yeah.
but I find that
I
Wunderlist,
don't like it as much though as Google Tasks.
I find that Wunderlist is just so much easier, so much simpler, and integrates with Google Calendar so much better than the others.
So Wunderlist, how does Wunderlist integrate with Google Calendar?
Well, it puts your to-dos on the calendar. So you know how Google Calendar, like at the very top, you'll have things that are happening all day, and then you'll have your appointments under it.
Right.
That's kind of where the to-dos live, like above that, in that
Oh.
area up there. Now, if you
Okay.
have 20 things to do, it is going to get very busy.
Okay.
But if you only have 4 or 5 that are set, you have to set the due dates
Yeah.
for a certain date that they're due. I find it's really useful and really helps me keep on track and keep things prioritized.
Yeah. Apparently, you can add your own background. You can add your own quotes, metrics. I should do my Fitbit. Choose integration. And then balance. I'm not sure what this is. Add productive features.
Enable balance mode. What is balance mode?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Let's see.
So those are the things that actually come up. The clock, the focus, which is your Excel consulting today. To-dos. What to-dos are they talking about? Are they talking about like Google?
I think they're talking about the integrations. Or I think they have their own, but it's not as robust as Wunderlist.
Okay. And then you have notes. See, I'm not sure why I really would want Momentum. I think Wunderlist is enough for me.
Yeah.
As far as being simple and easy to do and quick. And the other thing is you can see everything. There is no one place in Trello that you can see all of your clients and all the to-dos that go
Yeah.
with those clients.
Yeah.
Wunderlist, you can do that. And to me, it's like Dropbox. So super simple. that the first day you install it, you know what to do.
Yeah. Well, I like it because of the pictures, and everything's kind of like in one spot, and
Got it.
you know, it just works well for me right now
Okay.
in terms of keeping me focused. And it's simple and it keeps me focused. So and it's cheap, so that's why I like it.
My quote for the day comes from what the forecast. So. So that is momentum, huh?
Yep, that's momentum.
And how much is it?
I think if you pay 30, I think it's like $250 a month if you pay the annual fee. It's like around $30, something like that.
Okay, got it.
I signed up for the monthly, which was like $4.95, but I'm going to switch it to pay the yearly. I just wanted to try it out for a month.
Right. See whether you liked it or not.
Yeah.
So every time you open your computer, this pops up.
Every time you open up a new tab,
it automatically comes up.
Yeah.
Got it. Nice picture too, by the way.
Yeah, it's good. So, I mean, every day is a new picture, so it's kind of
nice.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll stop sharing.
Okay. So what is the percentage there? I
think that's the percent of the day. I think you define your day as to between such and such time, and
got it. You're 77% done for the day.
For the day.
Doesn't mean that you're 77% of the way through your projects.
No, it just means
it
just means you're 77% done with the day, I guess, or what you've defined as your day.
Right. Got it.
Okay.
Awesome. I think I'm going to stick with Wunderlist for a little bit and play with it.
Does that work on your mobile phone as well?
Yeah, Wunderlist does.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know about Momentum, but I know Wunderlist does.
I think I need Wunderlist. It sounds like something I need.
What I'm using is the free version of Wunderlist right now.
So am I. But you know what I like about it is the list and the folders. You can create a folder. Now Seth said that he didn't like it doing this way, but I do prefer it because of the simplicity. Having a folder for each client and then a list of the things that I need to do for that client. It also has reoccurring things. So like if I want to say at the beginning of the month, there are certain clients that I still actually do send out invoices. Most of them are now on the automatic invoicing, but there are still a couple.
Right.
I can put a reoccurring to do where I'll say every first of the month, bill.
Is that Wunderlist?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I've just kind of scratched the surface. I mean, I learned a couple of things this morning from Seth's.
Oh, yeah, the inbox I learned this morning.
Yeah, I didn't know. I had no clue about that.
Yeah, they named it wrong. Shouldn't be called. Well, but I guess it is if you think of it in that way. An inbox is where you throw everything in and then you categorize later.
Yeah.
So it's a
or if it's something that doesn't really fit into a good category, like.
That's true. You can put it there.
Yeah. So.
But there's a lot about it that I'm really liking. And like I said, when I go to my Google Calendar, then on the first day of the month, I will have that note there that I need to do that.
So how did you set the integration between Wunderlist and the Google Calendar? Is it in Google Calendar you set it up, or is it in Wunderlist?
Wunderlist. You go to the account settings.
Oh, okay.
And then it just says connect.
Okay, and then it gives you Google Calendar.
Oh, yeah. There was something I had to do about embedding a link into Google Calendar, and they gave the instructions, and it was fairly simple. I was able to do it, so that means it's easy.
Yeah, right now I've got like a thing called Remember the Milk, which I don't really use that much, and so I'm thinking maybe get rid of that and just using Wunderlist. So that's why I was asking. So I had to do some sort of embed in Google Calendar with Remember the Milk.
Yes. Well, you'll want to unembed Milk and
Right.
read Wunderlist.
Yeah.
But I am totally loving it. I mean, I'm so apped out at this point that, you know, for me to try a new app right now, it really has to make a big difference.
And be simple.
And be simple. And Wunderlist really, truly does fit all of those.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I always think of my time as money, because if I have to spend a lot of time trying to get up to speed on some app, I want to make sure that it's going to have a payoff down the road, you know, a major payoff.
Right, exactly. It's hard to invest all the time and energy into something that you're not sure is going to be staying with you. It's going to go away in a couple months. And a lot of these apps, I think they're all starting to merge together. They're overlapping at this point. So I think we'll in the future, we'll have less apps to choose, but those apps will do more. Does that make sense?
Right. I would think at some point people are just going to get burned out on apps and just kind of, you know, like, for example,
Supposed to be in there.
like with Nimble, I got it for a couple months, and I was sort of under a false impression. I thought I could, there's a thing called PySync that you sync between Zoho and Nimble.
Mm-hmm.
But what I thought it would sync would be my emails of my clients, and it didn't. It just creates the record for the client. It doesn't create the transactions. So I've been using Zoho for probably at least 3 or 4 years now, and so I've got a lot of history in there, and it's.
You don't want to give it up, and you don't want to go through the process of learning something new and wasting your time with that learning curve.
One thing I would really like in Zoho, if I could do it, is put a tag, like, for example, on my client emails under the client, I have to kind of go through each email to figure out what's in it, as opposed to if I could just tag it, like in Evernote. So, like, if I could tag it like response to such and such,
Right.
so I don't have to actually open it up and, okay, now which one did I open up? Which, you know, keep track of which one I opened up.
Right.
I should make that suggestion to Zoho.
You should. They might do it. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a real nice feature if I could just not have to kind of wade through all my emails, try to figure out, okay, when did I send it? You know, there's like maybe 20 emails. I got to figure out which one is, you know.
Per client, you have to search on the client and then do all of that. Yeah. I kind of have a different email system set up for my clients, and I use Google, but I use the Google names, like, and that's what Google calls it. I don't even know. It's different. It's like a different account. So I have one that's called client emails, and I will have a Google email for each of my clients. So at least it goes into that, so I can go to that client and then search in there. But unless it's in the subject line, I have to wade through those too. So yeah, tagging is becoming more and more important. So what else do we want to talk about?
Well, aren't we all glad we don't live in Houston?
Yeah. Feel sorry for those people. Been sending prayers. I have a lot of people around here that are going out there to help. A lot of first responders and you know, people like that.
Well, they were talking about gas shortages on the East Coast because of this, because of all the refinery problems with the gas.
I didn't realize it, but they have a pipeline from Houston to New York. And they say 7 out of 8 barrels of oil comes from that pipeline. If that pipeline gets shut down, I can totally see why they're raising the price on gas.
Do you remember the gas lines of the 70s during the OPEC crisis?
Yep. I don't think we'll get that bad, though.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, really. But they're still going through, I mean, even days later after Harvey's left, still going through serious flooding.
Well, I can imagine with all those snakes and, you know, reptiles down in Houston that might get some unpleasant.
That's what they're saying, too. Yeah, wildlife, you have to watch out for that.
Come floating through your house, you know.
Right,
Jeez.
right. So I do have a quick observation on QBO. I had a new client that invited me this week, and it worked wonderfully. Yay! Yay! It was broken for a while. The invite, believe it or not, the invite to QBO was broken. So, and actually for several months, to be honest. But they seem to have fixed it now. And they asked me, my problem is I have a lot of identities in QuickBooks. I have a lot of identities. I've been a pro advisor for many, many years. I've been a beta tester.
Yeah.
So I have different identities with different logons and that kind of thing. And
It's awfully confusing.
it is, and especially when they have the same name. But I was able to see all of my identities and put it in the correct one. So whatever it is that they did, they fixed it.
Oh, I wanted to get your opinion on this. I was just reading this one article. It was talking about having a live chat box on your website. Have you ever thought of something like that?
I have.
But I haven't done any. I'm not at my computer consistently enough to be able to have that at certain times.
I have it, and there's a mobile app so that if someone chats you up when you're not right at your computer, you can still, it's basically like texting with them from the mobile app.
What's the name of the app?
I've used both live chat and talk.to, TAWK.TO.
And you can embed that on your website?
Yeah, it was actually, I have WordPress. Both of those have plugins.
Okay.
So you just download the plugin. You sign up for a plugin.
So it's called.
Christy, put it in the. Will you put a link in the chat, Dennis, and Dennis can copy and paste it? He's getting old school paper and pen out here. I hear
Hold
it.
on just a
I have
second.
this bad habit of writing things on any piece of paper I can find, and I can never remember which piece of paper I wrote it on.
Okay.
Like on here, for example, I just wrote stuff on this.
We're going to get it digital for you, Dennis. New way of thinking.
Here it's
Can
coming.
anybody hear me?
Yes?
Yes.
I hid myself a little while ago, and I cannot figure out how to unhide myself.
Oh, no. We can see you.
Oh, you can?
Yes.
I can't see me.
Okay.
I see everybody else. That's all right. Well, if you can see me, then we're okay.
Well, I have mute and I have more. So let's see.
Myself. So I must have just hid myself for me.
Yeah, just from you.
Yeah.
That's all right. I know what I look like. Think.
Well, Linda, we wanted to talk a little bit about making deposits by phone. You're loving it.
Oh, well, I can actually do that for you. So let's see if I can. Oh, you got kids.
No. I don't want check. No. Don't show me check information on here, please. Thank you.
Oh, well, you really can't. Okay, so anyway, every bank is a little bit different. So it depends a little bit on your bank. But hold on here, let me delete this. What happened is I left because one of my clients had a question, so I went to the other room.
Got it.
You go to your bank and you download the bank app. Now this happens to be California Bank and Trust. So then you open, this doesn't have, oh, you can see it. I can't see it, but you can see it. So anyway, you open it up and it has my username. I tell it to save it. So then I just put my password in and I do that on the phone. All right. And hold on, I'm not real fast at this because it's on the phone. So you have to be careful. You hit the right numbers. Then I say done. And then it goes over. Now they all go a little different. Now this one has all three of my accounts on it. I have 1, 2, 3 accounts. Now the account I want to put some money into is the classic. See, the classic checking has $1.73 in it. It actually doesn't have the 1,500 I put in a little bit earlier.
Linda. Easy. We don't need that much personal information now.
TMI.
Mine, it's not my account. It's a client's account. But
okay.
see, when you know you're really accurate and there's no minimum you have to keep in the account, it's okay to go down to 173. The lady whose account it was said, "Oh my God, did I take too much money out?" I said, "No, just it costs more for certain things than we figured. But I knew the numbers were accurate, so I wasn't worried about it."
Right.
It was true. So then you say, okay, I want to do a check deposit. So I click on check deposit. You can do transfer, bill pay, check deposit, or pop money. That's if I want to give one of you guys money, I guess.
Pay other people is what it stands for.
Yes.
POP is pay other people. I had no idea.
Yeah, pay other people.
So, all right.
Some money.
And now it tells me how much money I can do this with. I can only do it, if I've been with the bank 1 to 59 days, I can only do 1,000 a day, but otherwise I can do 2,500. So now I have to type in the amount. So I look at the check. The check says it's $10. So I put $10 here. And then I put in $10 and I say that's done. And then, so then I go to deposit to, and I have to pick which one of the accounts to put it into. And I tell it which one to put it in. Put in the one with 173. And then I take a picture of the front. You go front, and you have to line it up.
Yep.
Line it up. Now, the big deal is
Yep.
they have to have enough light on it that it can read it, and it needs to show all 4 corners. So if you can see, it has a little
Yep.
picture.
Yes, yes.
The back of the check.
And do the same thing. Don't show. I don't want to count numbers up.
When you do it real fast, you can't see anything anyway.
Yeah, how'd they get my account number?
Right. That's what I'm trying to eliminate.
There's the back of the check.
Numbers up, even if they can stop the video. So
Do this.
Stop and zoom.
yeah.
2, okay. So now I say continue, and then I just say approve the deposit. I approve it. It says, can you read it? Do you want to approve it? And I say yes.
Zap, it's done. I love it too. I have 2 bank accounts that have merged and moved away. They are about a half hour's drive away for me.
So it's
So
nice.
I do the mobile deposit with that. Like I was telling Linda, you really have to shred those checks after a certain period of time. You want to keep it for a couple days to make sure the
I
transaction.
write on here, deposit by phone. Now, my other bank account says there's a place where you put a little mark. You choose a little checkbox, and then that reminds you that the check has been deposited. But
Right, on the back where you endorse the check on some of the
Put
checks.
that check down, please, Linda.
oh, sorry. Fingers over the number.
A lot of banks want you to hang on to them for 2 weeks, just in case they need to see it to verify that that's the right amount. And it's
Oh.
And then you really do want to shred them.
My phone and the day and the time. So it's 3:25 on Friday, 9/1.
that way, if the bank calls you and says, we need to see that check you deposited, you can present it.
Absolutely. But I made the mistake of not shredding. So now I have a pile of checks that I need to take to the local shredding event next week.
What's really funny though is one time I have 2 accounts. I have an account at a credit union and I have an account, my business account at a bank. So I wrote a check from the credit union, my account in the credit union in my name, to myself at the business bank. And I signed it and everything, and I made a copy of it, and I sent it off, and the phone said, yes, it's good. And 30 minutes later, I got an email saying, your deposit has not been approved. It's disapproved. Well, it was a Friday afternoon, and we were doing this. And as soon as we got off, I went over to the bank and I said, what is this? I said, because this scares me. Because if I do this and I deposit it and you say it's fine, and then I shred the check, and a half an hour later I get this little email saying, oh, guess what? You blew it. It's not good. What then? But they said it was because I wrote a check to myself. You can't, it turns out they don't let you
do the pop.
with a check to yourself.
Right. You have to do the pop. Even though it says other people, it's to another bank account.
But I don't know why you can't do that. What?
Each bank is different, like you said.
Or something.
Yeah, each bank is different.
Okay, got it. I didn't
Some of
know
them allow you transfer between accounts. Some of them allow you transfer between other bank accounts, and you usually have to set that up in advance.
Yeah, usually I'll do that. I can do that with TD Ameritrade online, but that's where I go online and I say, send the money here, send the money there, go
Right.
take the money out of here. But that's not on the phone.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So,
Yeah, I wish banks would get it together and all would be the same and we'd know how to, what banks work with what.
oh, that'd be just too easy, huh?
I know. Banks need to step it up with this digital world, let me tell you. They're
It's
falling
really
behind.
I'm waiting for when they want to put a chip in.
As long as it's on my forehead.
And then you have to decide, is that the 666 thing?
Oh, no. On that note, is there anything else that we want to talk about before we end for today?
I can't think of anything.
Anything? Larry was with us, then he left us, and now he's back again.
Good, good.
Yeah, sorry, I had my doctor's office called in, and I got a problem with the medicine, so.
Oh, got it. Yeah, you got to
Well,
get.
I hope you get an unproblem with that medicine and things are all right.
Yeah,
Send him best wishes.
I'll watch the recording anyway, thanks.
Okay. It was one of those kind of days. Christy came and everybody and their neighbor decided to come now at this hour, right?
It was all me. You're welcome.
Happens to all of us, actually.
Well, I have to go walk a little neighbor girl home now, so
Okay.
I'm gonna have to run. It's tight.
Okay. Well, I'm
enjoyed-
glad you came to join us.
All right. Thanks for having me. It was good to see everybody again.
Also, I enjoyed your presentation at the boot camp.
Oh, thank you. I
That's
had a
very
lot of fun giving it.
Very well done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, if we ever get the video.
I have the raw video, but Seth is working on editing it and producing
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah, I
it'll
know.
blend nicely together like he does, so.
Perfect.
Yep.
All righty.
All right. Well, I will
We'll
see
see you
y'all
same
later.
time next week, same place. Have a great weekend, everyone. Happy Labor Day.
Yeah. And, oh, Sandy, we can't wait to see the wedding pictures and everything.
I know.
I'm so ready for it to be over already.
Well, wait for the day and enjoy the day.
Yeah, just have a good time.
Right.
Yes.
All righty, everyone. Take care. Talk to you
Bye.
next week.
Bye.
Bye.